I remember at one point we used to have these really late dinners on Uncharted 2, just talking about game design, what we wanted to do with the game and all this stuff. And at some point Bruce told me, like, dude, I heard from Evan, it's gonna be another project. I think Bruce was on, Bruce knew before I did that he would be on this project. And then we would just riff and talk about what this project might be. But as soon as Uncharted 2 was wrapping up, I was told I would be on this as well. And our first task really was to reboot Jak and Daxter.
One of the inspirations for us was the Tenzin sequence from Uncharted 2, and that was something that we held up as a challenge for ourselves as game developers. Could we develop a relationship inside of the game through gameplay? So off of that, we basically set up the challenge of, if you had an opportunity for a new game, that's one of those, put it back there as a possibility. Could you, as a challenge for Naughty Dog, build up a relationship with somebody through gameplay over the course of the entire game? Could we take that Tenzin sequence and expand it? And so that was one of the first ideas. And then at the same time, we're constantly looking at, we're feeding each other books and watching movies together and saying, have you seen this? What have you, check this out. And one of those things was the Planet Earth BBC documentaries narrated by David Attenborough. And when you got to the cordyceps ant, the zombie ant sort of sequence, and you heard about what this thing actually does,
it's like something out of sci-fi. Even David Attenborough says it. It's like something out of science fiction. You have this parasite, right? And the parasite, through spores in the air, gets into this.
I still get excited just thinking about this, by the way. As you start describing it, you see the BBC video and you're like, it's awesome. Keep going.
And it's it goes into this insect's mind and alters its state of mind, so it changes its behavior to infect other insects from its species. And that's how, in the jungle, this fungus controls every insect species, and there's one specific for each insect. And he ends with this awesome line where it's the more numerous a species become, the more likely it is to fall victim to this cordyceps fungus. And for us, it's light bulb went up. It's
the jumping off point.
We're getting pretty numerous on this planet, and we're kind of screwing shit up. And what if this thing jumped? What if this thing jumped to humans? And what would it do to it? How would it alter our state to try to propagate itself? And it became really interesting.
And then we have this opportunity to step into this new IP that Naughty Dog's challenging themselves to do. And so we're starting to just formulate all these different ideas. We don't have we're talking a lot of gameplay ideas, first person, third person, co-op only, stylized, realistic. We're going through the gamut of different possibilities. And
even how much story? Should we not have cutscenes? Should we have cutscenes?
What are the consequences of story with a first-person game?
Break everything down. Forget how we've done things in the past. How would we want to do it again now? And then also, what is a Naughty Dog title coming out of this studio? What are people's expectations? What would we want to see coming out of Naughty Dog if we weren't at Naughty Dog?
So one of the other things that happened while collecting these ideas and sort of defining a Naughty Dog product is we saw No Country for Old Men.
Let me ask you something. What's the most you ever lost in a coin toss?
Look, I need to know what I stand to win.
Everything. Just call it friendo.
We saw it together, and I remember walking out of the theater, and it's one of those surreal theater-going experiences, right, where it transported you to another world. The tension was palpable.
Well, you walked out and were
still up. I didn't know what just hit me. What just happened, man? And we started questioning, was there even a soundtrack? And do you even remember a soundtrack?
I guess there wasn't any.
And then we talk about that fight sequence within Antoine Chigurh and Lou Allen Moss and the street, the truck guy, and the gore. But it wasn't gore for gore's sake. It was just so impactful.
And it was just quiet, right? There's not a lot of bullets flying everywhere. It's a pretty slow paced scene, but it was so intense.
There was so much tension. It was palpable. You could just bite into it and let it drip down. It was so intense. And then as game developers, of course, we're constantly collecting ideas, thinking about things how can you make games better and do more and blah blah blah. And, well, this was how can you do less? How can you actually strip away all this stuff and get to this kind of meat? How can you get down to this bone?
How can you take these cinematic qualities and bring them into the gameplay space? Became another challenge for us.
Yeah, which is an awesome challenge because we love that we love that genre, we love that survival horror. We love, these survival novels and these movies that are all about survivalists, and that sense of me being pitted against the elements, these factions, whether it's zombies in 28 Days Later or, World War II and famine in City of Thieves. And those are the interesting things that compelled us to go like, well, here's this tension in No Country for Old Men, and looking at the genre that we are interested in and trying to take elements from that.
And here's this tension sequence that we were really like kind of enamored by and wished to take further, and all these concepts we learned in Uncharted 2, and all these things started coming together to form this concept that eventually became The Last of Us. And we saw this opportunity to like really kind of take this genre further and really make it character driven. Because the thing we like about this genre is like when you look at all like whether it's The Walking Dead or 28 Days Later or City of Thieves or even No Country for Old Men, you care and you're invested in it because you buy into one of these characters or like a whole cast of characters in their relationship. If you didn't, then it would just be very forgettable.
Do I want to play the game that I'm making? If I do, then I have the passion to show up every day and keep pushing the boundaries and keep pushing myself and hopefully inspiring the people around us, to go like, yeah, I get it, and we want to play this game. This game, we don't see it existing out there. We have this opportunity to go, this is something I can get invested in the characters, I can understand the world, it can be an interesting, fantastical world, it can be beautiful and lush like Naughty Dog does, because we can do post-apocalyptic like you haven't seen before. It's about nature reclaiming the world, right? It's not just about gray, dreary, drab, sepia tones, etc. It's about lush and overgrown and flooded and abandoned and bounce light.
It's interesting talking also about the game we want to play, because as we start developing all these different concepts and different gameplay genres and looking at it, it's like there would have been concepts that would have been much easier to make. There would have been concepts that would have been much more fun to work on. But at the end we picked probably the most challenging one for us to make, because at the end of the day this is the game we want to play as players, right? We really want to get our hands on this game when it's done and play it.
And we're masochists.